seconder for that, Councillor Cook. Deputy Mayor Dag.
I guess the only caveat I have is that I think we should put a guard on it that we don't, as a municipality, have to pay the entire amount ourselves, even within 5 years, because in 5 years, the value of this project will be $87,400, according to the estimates. And I think that there's potential, if you're working with Nature Conservancy and this land is not accessible but for this bridge, there is motivation for Nature Conservancy to actually to utilize their sources of funding as well to find money for this. And I think we have to insist on that because we just can't ask the general public to be paying $87,000 for a bridge that's just for recreational use right now, I don't believe. So within that, are you willing to make an amendment to say as long as we have partnership in
but
this?
I don't want to put numbers on it, like 10%, 20%. You can decide that. I don't want to be arbitrary, but I think to say yes, a partnership definitely should be part of it.
So you'd be happy if there's just a $2,000 contribution from another source?
Whatever. I think when we cross that bridge,
Um,
there'll be another council in place necessarily when this happens. So I don't want to.
Yeah, the motion is that it be put in a 5-year time frame. All
With partnership.
with partnerships? You okay with partnerships? Okay. Any other questions?
you have to listen. And put them up to the
All in favor of that? Opposed?
do check specifics.
Carried. We're going to 7:10. We have a public meeting. I'd ask for a motion to adjourn our meeting and open a public meeting. Councillor Russell, Councillor Scott. Public meeting for a zone amended application for the Sand Hills Golf Resort, Port Franks. I would ask mover and second, all in favor of that? Carried. The public meeting, I would ask the planner to present her report.
The application's been submitted by the Sand Hills Golf Resort, Inc., and it affects lands at 9973 Port Franks Road, which is the existing golf course right there in Port Franks. The request for a zoning change only affects the very corner of the property adjacent to Highway 21 in the Port Franks intersection. And the applicant is requesting to include 3 additional uses in the existing zone there, and the existing zone is a commercial 6-3 zone. And they would like to include travel trailer sales establishment, equipment sales and service establishment, which is a golf court maintenance equipment and golf carts, and an auction hall. Currently, the lands are designated Northfield policy area in our official plan, and certainly the policies in the official plan provide for commercial uses on this property. And in particular, these types of uses that serve not only the traveling public, but also the local residents. We don't have any issues with respect to access, and that's one of the other things that's always addressed in the Northfield policy area, that we don't want to encourage any additional accesses to 21 that aren't conducive to joint access. All of the access to the golf course is off the Port Franks Road, so we don't have any issues that way. Certainly the uses, as far as I'm concerned, are supported by the official plan. I only have a couple concerns with the rezoning. We have an existing site plan agreement in effect on the golf course, but it's very, very sketchy. It doesn't provide a lot of direction on what was to happen there. So in order to establish these new uses, any one of them or all of them, we have to be assured that we're going to have appropriate parking and areas set aside for display. And we also need to deal with drainage and all the normal things we would deal in site plan. So I'm suggesting to council that if they're willing to approve the amendment, that we also place a holding zone on this property until a new site plan agreement is entered into, or alternatively, we amend the one that exists on the property. We did receive a letter from an adjacent landowner, Tom and Linda Laird, who expressed some concern about using the very low-lying corner of the property for display. I guess there are some issues related to drainage running through there. I spoke to the applicant's representative, and he can speak for himself, he is here. Mr. Walden. And there is no intent to use that area for display, so I would suggest to council in the zoning, we can restrict use of that particular area to assure Mr. and Mrs. Laird that they're not going to be impacted negatively by any additional drainage down there. So I am recommending to council that they approve the request subject to the holding zone being placed on the property and a provision being included in the zoning prohibiting any fill from being placed in the low-lying area at the northwest corner of the lot.
Does the applicant have any comments you'd like to add?
Not really, Mr. Mayor. I've spoken to Mr. and Mrs. Laird, and I assured them we weren't intending to ever fill that low spot. There's a problem with drainage there. It comes off number 21 highway in the ditches and runs to the low spot, and there's a culvert underneath of Yorkville Road to get it further away, and that's water ponds in there, so there's no intention for ever filling that in. Display purposes.
Okay. Any member of the public have any comments regarding this? Any questions from the public?
I think it's a good idea. It'll bring jobs to the area where people would go somewhere else and get it done.
Okay. You know. Okay, anyone else from the public? State your name.
Lorene Marizio, just wondering if any consideration would be made to ensuring that there's no sight distance barriers created by signage that's placed in that area.
That'll be, MTO will look after those issues.
Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no one else from the public, Councillor Scott, Councillor, questions?
I understood that a number of years ago, there used to be a lot of different vehicles and things put at that front portion in front of those two buildings where you were having. And that we had as a council at the time, and it was before this council, quite a while ago actually, that they had made a restriction there that nothing could be parked on the highway because of the way the MTO, like if you were going down the road, the blockage of view and things, because they used to park all kinds of great big long trailers out there with golf carts and things out there, and they had to move them back. So I'm just wondering, that's being taken into consideration as the highway access view down the road, just.
Well, we circulated this application to MTO and didn't receive any comments from them. So I'm not going to assume they don't have any issues, but certainly if they responded, they will deal with those issues of setback from the highway. Remember, they didn't have a lot of concerns about the other travel trailer application we had about setback from the actual Highway 21 road lands.
It's a
So,
different road there.
I didn't find anything in the file that suggested there had been any of that action taken previously. But that's not to say it didn't happen. I just couldn't find any.
Councillor McGuire?
I'd just like to echo Councillor Scott's concern. Again, it's a low dip curve and everything like that, positioning the trailers and stuff. I just don't want to sideline too often.
Councillor Russell?
I would suggest we do it through our site plan and we don't pick the scab again of the MTO, because the MTO are a pain in the butt on the Highway 21 corridor, and I don't want another bureaucrats telling us what to do when we have a planner who we can do site plan controls with. And I think those things can be figured out. Let's try to leave the MTO where they should be, taking care of the business they should be taking care of. That's, sorry.
Welcome to it. Anything else? I ask for a motion to close the public meeting. Councillor Monsdale and Councillor Underwood. All in favor of that? Carried. We'll deal with the recommendation that's on there. It's approved subject to a holding place. Councillor Monsdale. Councillor Cook. Questions? All in favor of that? That is carried. Thank you. There'll be a time period with all the issues that need to be done. Any questions?
Related but not part of that decision.
Okay.
Yes, that's fine, actually. We don't necessarily need the parties' attention for this issue.